I began researching this video, I originally planned on covering the first Thanksgiving to hop on the bandwagon of Thanksgiving-themed videos. However, I quickly realized that, although we seem to talk about this event a lot in school, we don't actually know that much about it. We know that it happened in 1621 and was most likely held in either late September or early October. However, our primary sources of this event consist of about 2 paragraphs. One was from a letter written by English colonist Edward Winslow, stating, "Our harvest being gotten in, our governor sent 4 men on fowling, that so we might after have a special manner rejoice together, after we had gathered the fruits of our labors. They 4 in one day killed as much fowl, as with a little help beside, served the company almost a week. At which time amongst other recreations, we exercised our arms, many of the Indians coming amongst us, and amongst the rest their greatest king Massasoit, with some 90 men, whom for 3 days we entertained and feasted, and they went out and killed 5 deer, which they brought to the plantation and bestowed on our governor, and upon the captain and others." The other was written by William Bradford, saying, "They began now to gather in the small harvest they had, and to fit up their houses and dwellings against winter, being all well recovered in health and strength, and had all things in good plenty. For as some were thus employed in affairs abroad, others were exercised in fishing, about cod and bass and other fish, of which they took good store, of which every family had their portion. All the summer there was no want, and now began to come in store of fowl, as winter approached, of which this place did abound when they came first, but afterward decreased by degrees. And besides waterfowl, there was great store of wild turkeys, of which they took many, besides venison, etc. Besides, they had about a peck of meal a week to a person, or now since harvest, Indian corn to that proportion, which made many afterwards write so largely of their plenty here to their friends in England, which were not feigned but true reports." If I had gone with my original plan, this would be about where my video would end. Pilgrims eating with Native Americans. The turkeys cooked, have a great Thanksgiving. I'm sure you'll agree that that's a boring video. So I decided to take a quick look instead into the Native American tribe that the colonists ate with, the Wampanoag. Since this is such a short video and I just spent about half of it reading those 2 paragraphs, I'll just be giving you a short summary of the tribe's history and some information about what they ate and how they gathered food. Before we do this, however, if you're new here and like to learn about history in short, easy-to-digest explanations, please consider subscribing. The name Wampanoag means people of the first light. In the 1600s, the tribe had up to 40,000 people living across the Wampanoag Nation that consisted of 67 villages. It's believed that this tribe had been living in the area for over 15,000 years. Many people have the misconception that the English settlers came from a land with longer history, but people have only been living in England continuously for about the last 12,000 years, meaning that this tribe had an extra 3,000 years of history on these colonists. When it came to growing food, each Wampanoag family typically provided for itself. However, there was also quite a bit of sharing in the community. The leaders, or sachems, would support widows and the poor. Families would also give food to the sick and elderly members of the community. Families would plant their crops on land assigned to them. Hunting, gathering, and fishing, on the other hand, would all be done on commonly owned land. All life was considered sacred to the Wampanoag, which meant that nothing was wasted. Some of the animals they hunted included deer, moose, beaver, rabbit, skunk, and raccoon. The parts of these animals that couldn't be eaten were used in other ways, including making clothes and tools. Leftover food would also be used to make fertilizer. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, you might want to check out some of the other videos in my Short Histories series, where I explain historical topics in less than 5 minutes. Please also consider liking, commenting, and subscribing. Happy Thanksgiving!